Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're working on a Ryobi gas-powered hedge trimmer. It's an HT26. This one here doesn't run too good. It needs a carburetor. The choke knob is broken off of it. So we're going to replace the carburetor and we're going to replace the fuel lines because they are hard as a rock in there. So we'll pop the fuel lines out, replace those, take the carburetor off, replace it, and get her to run nice. Let me gather some tools up and we'll dive in and see what it looks like inside there. Alright, so we got you guys a little bit closer. I know the camera's a bit of an angle for you, but it's the only way I can get you close enough and still have room to work. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pop that carburetor off there, change the fuel lines. This is the carburetor we're going to use. Comes with a new primer bulb, comes with a different style of choke lever. This is a replacement carburetor, so it's not identical in every way. This choke lever is broken off, you can't operate it. Looks like somebody's been trying to mangle it with a pair of pliers, but anyway. This, I got it from Sten's. That's the Sten's part number. And it is a replacement for this Zama part number. So if you've got that Zama part number carburetor, this is a replacement for it. Not compatible with greater than 10% ethanol fuel. Well, I shouldn't be using ethanol fuel anyways, but not small engine stuff. Ethanol demolishes carburetors, so. Alright, let's get into her. Pop this little cover off of here. There's no air filter. I don't know if there's supposed to be. It's possible that there was a foam filter in here. No longer in service. So, get these nuts out of here. Off to the side. That's that. So all we have is one cable over here for the throttle. Use this fancy pants tool here. Pop those lines off. Not that you need a fancy tool, but sometimes it's easier. Okay, before we take these off, the bottom line goes to the top fitting. The top line goes to the bottom fitting. It's in an X. Pay attention, there will be a quiz at the end. And you guys probably got to help me remember because I might not. So. One advantage to video recording this stuff is I can go back and find out where I messed up. That being said, if you've got a smartphone, which most people do now, if you're in the middle of a job like this, those smartphones take excellent pictures. If you're not sure where wiring goes or where hoses go, just grab your phone, take a quick picture, and you can always consult it when you're reassembling things. I was hoping I wouldn't have to undo that, but well, maybe it'll be okay. Just got to unhook the throttle cable on this side. I'll have to loosen that screw. Just on the bracket here that holds the throttle cable. That way I'll be able to get a little slack in that cable. Let's just take it out. I should be able to pop that cable straight out of there, like so. And that'll give me a little flexibility, just enough to get that unhooked. Carburetor should slide off, there we go. This hole here is where the little Z end of this cable hooks in. Not even going to take it apart. There is a gasket here. This gasket I'm going to have to try and save, or at least get it off in a relatively one piece so I can copy it. I'm not sure if I'm going to fight with this on camera or not. Nope, that one's a little firm, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shut the camera off and I'll play with it, get that gasket off of there, or make a new one, and we'll come back. Hold tight. I was able to get that gasket off of there unmangled, so we're going to reuse it. I'll just use the razor blade real carefully. So this is a comparison here with the old and the new carburetor. The old carburetor has these type of idle mixture adjustment screws. They look like a Pac-Man, so it's a round screw with a notch cut in it, the high and low side. Where the new carburetor is easily adjusted with a flat blade screwdriver. There's a few ways you can get it around this. I happen to have the tool. They're not expensive. You can find them on Amazon. You get a set of them for like $12 to $15 or something like that. All different styles. There's different kinds. Let's see if we can get a shot of that. Let's see if we can get a shot of that in focus. There you go. There's the tool. So it just fits down in there. And you put it in near the screw and you just rotate it with some slight down pressure. It'll fall into its slot and then you can adjust it. So a few different ways you can do it. You can make a tool, you can buy a tool. The other thing you can do is you can use a zip cut, a little rotary tool. Dremel has them. You duct tape the either side. You don't want any stuff getting in the carburetor, but you can run a little zip cut straight down through the housing, through the heads of the screws, and you want to go down about, you want to be able to just have enough screwdriver depth in the screw itself to turn it. Might actually have a carburetor here that somebody else has done it to. I'll show you that in a bit. I'll look at it, I'll look and see if I have one. But anyways, those are the idle mixture screws, high and low speed. It's nice that the new carburetor comes fully adjustable. Let's get into here and see what our fuel lines look like. So this is a return line. This tube just goes from the return side of the carburetor and just dumps into the tank. It's only in there about an inch because it just returns fuel. So it's not critical how long that is in the tank, how far in. We're going to put an inch in there because that's what's in there now and that's what it needs. You can see that it's actually loose. So over time these hoses harden up. When they're new, they're just basically a friction fit, a tight fit into the gas tank, and that is what seals it to the gas tank. So this one here, being that loose, it's actually wiggling, it would actually leak. So the gas tank would have leaked if we had decided to not replace these lines, which we're gonna. But anyways, you can see right there, that little dented area, that's where the tank was. That's what it seals on. So I've got some line here. So that's our return. The feed line is also loose. It's hard as a rock. It's got a little weight filter in there on the inside. I'm going to try and pull it back a little bit so I can get to the weight. There we go. A little too much maybe. You'll be able to get the weight out of there. There we go. This is a weight and a filter. So two strokes will run in any direction because you don't have oil in a crankcase that's going to get, starve the engine. But when you tilt this on its side or backwards or forwards, this should go to the lowest part of the tank so you can maintain the engine running. Chainsaws, weed whackers, anything that can be used in more than one position typically will have a filter system like this. A weighted filter. Some chainsaws, this is more like a vinyl tubing. It's hard as a rock, but some chainsaws, older stuff, had like rubber. And what would happen over time, it would just deteriorate and fall off. So you would find one of these laying in the bottom of the tank with no hose or anything attached to it. That happens. I see it. Sometimes the line gets harder. Depends on the material it's made from. Sometimes it gets hardened up and sometimes it goes mushy and falls apart. So I'm going to match up some line size, the OD and the ID. I'll match up some line size. And once I get the length of the line that I want, I'll remove this filter. It's not dirty. Well, it's dirty from my fingers now, but it's not dirty and it flows nice, so I'll just reuse that filter. Let me dig through my random assortment of stuff and find some line. Alright, so I found some line that is going to work perfectly for us. The stuff here is the right OD to be a tight fit in the tank, and it's the correct ID that it is a snug fit onto the carburetor fitting, so that'll work just fine for us. So let's get the old line off of the filter. So I'm going to cut it at the end of the metal part of the filter, slice down the side, take a little bite out of it, that'll release it. That's the way I like to do it. Some people will take a razor knife and cut that way. Well, this isn't going to be a huge deal, but on some cases when you do that with a soft fitting, that little scribe line actually will either suck air or leak fuel or leak air or whatever you're dealing with, but in some cases I can give you problems. So let's get this side. We'll cut a little angle on this. What I did was I cut it just a little bit long. I cut it about a 1/4 inch long, longer than I need. That'll allow me to put a little angle on this. Hopefully get it started in there easier. So this is our feed. It's the one that gets the filter, which was the top one. Remember, you guys are supposed to be paying attention to this. Okay, just nice goes in there. Nice and snug. I'll grab a hold of this with pliers. Maybe. Yeah, here we go. Pop this end out. We'll cut that flush. Maybe not with these dull cutters. There we go. Maybe. That's better. We'll pull some through to get some room to work. Get our filter put on there. Make sure you get it on there all the way. Bottomed out nice. Pull it back through. We'll tuck this part in. Make sure it sits in the bottom of the tank nice. Some of this line has a natural curve in it when you leave it in a coil, so I'm going to just turn the line so it points to the bottom of the tank. That one's in. Second verse, same as the first. Cut a little notch in there. Little angle. Get that one started. Sometimes they can require a little convincing. There we go, starting to go in. I'm just going to, because of the curve of the hose, I can't reach it from the inside. I'll just turn it in there. And hopefully I can grab it with pliers in a second. Just becoming visible in there. Yep, we got about an inch in there. We don't have to cut that flush, that end. We don't have to cut the angle off of it, because it's just a return line, so it doesn't matter. Put our gasket back on there. Carburetor. Isn't it cute? It's tiny. that slid down over the studs. Hook our throttle cable on there. Possibly. There we go. No, we don't. What are you doing to me here? Everything's so small and fidgety. There. Okay, get these lines out of there. Sits nice. Let's put our clamp back on. Maybe if I can get my fingers to work here. There we go. There you go. Yeah, zip that back down in there. Got that cable set right where it was before. So. Okay. Well, did you remember? I remembered. It was in an X pattern. We got our line. See the little bit of a kink in here? That's not a big deal. We'll just pull a little bit more into the tank, and that'll give us the angles we need on the hoses. That'll be nice. Nice. Nice rounded, nice curves on the. Perfect. Actually works really nice. Fits good in there. Hose is good. Carb sits where it's supposed to sit. Let's get that one. You that way. The brace on there, or the that cover. Where's the nuts? Where'd you put them? I found them. We'll get them started. I'll just run them down by hand so I know that they're tight and that nothing's binding, so I won't use the impact for that. Not stupid tight, just tight enough that they're not going to rattle off. That's that. Let's see if I can get to those mixture screws with the air cleaner on it. Yep, I think so. Yep, there's a little notch in that cover there. Look at that. Choke works. So I'm not even going to change any of the adjustments. I'm not going to change the mixture screws. I'm going to see how close the carburetor is to being set just the way it is, without doing any adjustments. Just going to put a twist on that hose there. That'll maintain that filter down at the bottom of the tank. Yeah, perfect. Okay. I'm going to mix up some two-stroke. I'm going to pop it in there. And we're going to take this puppy outside and give her a couple of yanks on that cord and hope for the best. I mean, tune it properly. Before I do that, I'm going to pull the plug out and just check it, make sure it's decent and it's gapped and everything. So stand by, we'll get you figured out outside. Change of plans. Spitting outside, so I don't want to be out there. I got some fuel in it, got the garage door open, we're good. So, put the choke on start. Prime 7 times it says. Not getting any primer action. Not getting any fuel. Huh. That's strange. First time I've used one of these carburetors, I usually just take them apart and clean them. I'm getting no fuel into the primer bulb. Well, that ain't good. What I was checking inside there is possibly, maybe if the lines were reversed, it'd be trying to pull fuel from the wrong line, but you would think it would pull from one of them. Because even the vent, the return line is below fuel, so something should happen. So no bubbles are going into the tank from either. Oh, look at that. Something just started to move. I heard bubbles come up. Alright, let me figure this out. I'll turn the camera back on when we find out what's going on. Alright, we got fuel up in the primer bulb now. Never used one of these carburetors before. One for one is not working. So, anyways, what I ended up doing was took the top, just the top plate of that carburetor off where the valving is, the check valving for this, because it pushes out and then it pulls in, so you got to open and close valves to allow fuel to move the way it needs to move. So I finally got it to work. The primer bulb was hard as a rock. It wouldn't compress. When I finally did, it went down, pumped a bunch of air into the tank, but then it wouldn't suck fuel up. So I took the top end off and I just put some wires down in the holes and then put it back together. It seems to be pumping up okay now. Huh. So let's see what happens from there. I'll get you backed up. See if this thing will start. Pumped it more than 7 times. There we go. Primer bulb's a little bit of firmness to it now. We'll put it on start, give it some choke. See what happens. Well, it's firing. What? We're probably a little lean. Let's give her some fuel. Low side. I'm going to check to see what the screws are set at now. Half. 1. Half. 2. Well, half. Let's try 1, half, 2. Just adjusted the low side to 2 turns out. 2, half, 3. High side was out 3, so let's try 2. See what happens. Again, I don't know the history on this machine. I don't know how it ran before. I'm flying blind here. I know it's not nice to pull that cord. Not doing good so far. We'll go out a little bit more on those screws. We'll go another half a turn anyway. If the passages in the primer system were plugged up, who knows what the rest of the carburetor's like. Choke is on. I'm gonna call that one done. That was a little fidgety. Literally screwing with the carburetor. Just do a quick run through of what I was doing there. Let's get you in the front. I'm probably gonna fast forward a bunch of that mixture adjustment stuff. So anyways, first of all, you don't need to see me going back and forth, and second of all, it's just noise. So this is our, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Yeah, okay. That's our idle speed. So just, you get this to a point when you're setting up a carburetor that it's fast enough that it's going to keep running. You don't have to keep your finger on the trigger. This here, I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera. Let's see if we can get a shot. That's an H. So that's your high speed adjustment. That's your high speed. That's your low speed. So this comes more into play when you're at an idle. If this is too lean, when you hit the throttle, it just dies. So you need a little bit more to go a little bit richer on this side. And then you adjust your high speed. And these do somewhat affect each other. So on your high speed, you want to run the screw out, and it'll start to bog, it'll sound like there's too much fuel. It'll sound like running with the choke partially on. So you lean the screw out, you tighten it in, turn it in until it starts to scream. The engine will just take off fast. And then you back that screw out slowly until it just starts to slow down again. So what you're doing is you're running it very rich when it's a wide open. It's called four-stroking is the term that's used to describe that. But you turn the high speed out enough that it starts to slow down a little and get a little burbly in the exhaust, and it sounds like it's got too much fuel. That's what you want. Otherwise you'll burn them out lean. And then once that's done, you go back to the low speed, you let it go down to an idle again, you hit the throttle wide open. It shouldn't bog, it should just rev right up. If it does bog, you want to turn this one out about a quarter turn at a time until it stops that, and you just go back and forth until you get the balance of not bogging when you hit the throttle wide open and a little bit of four-stroking at the top end. Anyways, that's that. I'm going to spray that down with penetrating oil. This machine hasn't been used for quite a while, so. Anyways, this one runs. Good to go. A couple of new fuel lines. Brand new carburetor that had to come apart to get fixed. And as far as the adjustments go, this one happens to be quite a bit off from where it came out of the box. The high speed I had to richen up quite a bit. The low speed I had to turn in a bit. But it is what it is. The new carburetor runs good now. And I mentioned earlier about, I don't know if there's supposed to be an air filter in there. I happen to download the manual for this, and there is no foam or anything in there. It's just a screen. It just keeps the big chunks of grass out, or not grass, it's not a weed whacker. That screen there is all it is. Just keeps brush out. So that's all. That's it. That's all. This one's ready to go back to the customer. Happy camper. I've already done a couple of other items for him. What I do for him, I did a little chainsaw and a handheld gas-powered leaf blower. I think he's got a backpack blower or something he wants me to look at. I think a zero turn and a ride behind, like a stand-up, ride-up mower. So, future videos upcoming. Well, that will be the end of this Ryobi HT26 repair. Thanks for joining me, guys, on this video. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. I like to see comments. I like to interact with my viewers. If you don't feel like typing in a comment, just make sure you click that thumbs up like button. It encourages me. I need positive reinforcement. I'm that kind of person. I need to be encouraged. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell icon to notify you when I upload new videos. Till the next one, thanks and take care.